Stop everything, because what just cracked open inside the Braxton universe is being whispered about as the most controlled, most silenced, and most explosive secret the family has ever carried. This is not a reunion moment. This is not reality TV drama. This is a forbidden story that was allegedly buried so deep, even the loudest voices were ordered to stay quiet. According to shocking new claims spreading like wildfire, Ashlee Braxton and Tamar Braxton are finally exposing why they were allegedly forced into silence for years, and the name at the center of it all is Evelyn. Fans are calling it chilling, and the timing, anything but accidental. Old clips are suddenly resurfacing with terrifying new meaning. Tamar's emotional breakdowns, Ashlee's long disappearance overseas, statements that once sounded vague now feel scripted. And now, sources claim the silence wasn't voluntary, it was enforced, through warnings, through pressure, through fear of losing everything. Social media is in a frenzy, group chats are exploding, fans are replaying interviews frame by frame, convinced they're finally seeing the truth hiding in plain sight. Alleged leaked messages hint at ultimatums, secret phone calls. And now it has, because when Ashlee started speaking with clarity instead of caution, and Tamar stopped defending the narrative she was handed, the entire foundation cracked. This isn't about drama, it's about power, about who controls the story, and who pays the price for telling it. Stay right here, because once this silence breaks, there's no putting it back together. The first crack didn't come from a scream, it came from silence, the kind that feels rehearsed, the kind that lingers too long to be natural. Fans noticed it before insiders ever spoke up. Ashlee Braxton had been telling her story in pieces for years, always careful, always measured, always stopping just short of naming the force that seemed to hover over every sentence. And Tamar, she had spent more than a decade being labeled too much, unstable, the problem, while never quite explaining why she looked like someone fighting ghosts nobody else could see. According to alleged insiders, that wasn't accidental. Behind the scenes, whispers claim there was a clear understanding. Certain truths were not allowed to exist publicly, not because they weren't real, but because they were inconvenient. One source described it as a silence tax, paid in emotional breakdowns, distance, and fractured relationships. And the person allegedly enforcing that silence wasn't a network executive or a publicist. It was Evelyn. Allegedly, Evelyn positioned herself as the protector of the family image, the final authority on what could be said and what had to stay buried. Not in emails, not in contracts, in conversations that left no paper trail. Conversations where tone mattered more than words. Fans are now rewatching old interviews where Ashlee's voice trembled right before she changed the subject. Tamar's rants that suddenly cut off mid-thought. Moments that once looked like chaos are being reframed as restraint. Because according to people close to the situation, both women were warned early on that speaking freely would come with consequences, not just personal, but familial. Allegedly, Ashlee was the first to feel it. Sources claim that when she initially tried to speak up years ago, she was met with concern that felt more like containment. She wasn't told she was wrong. To think about timing. And just like that, Ashlee learned that telling the truth could be framed as betrayal. Her decision to leave the country is now being re-examined with new eyes. What once sounded like a personal reset now feels, to many fans, like an escape from a narrative she wasn't allowed to challenge. According to whispers, distance was the only way she could breathe without being reminded of who needed her silence more than her healing. Meanwhile, Tamar was being pushed into a different role entirely. Insiders claim Tamar wasn't silenced, she was weaponized. Her emotional reactions allegedly made it easier to dismiss her. Every outburst became proof that she was unreliable. Every boundary she set was labeled drama. And through it all, she kept being told the same thing. Don't say too much. Don't say it like that. Don't say it now. That line changed how fans viewed everything. Suddenly, Tamar's tears looked less like instability and more like pressure. Her isolation from certain family members stopped looking mutual, and Evelyn's public image, calm, composed, protective, began to feel strategic. Fans started asking uncomfortable questions. Who benefits from Tamar being seen as the problem? Who gains control when Ashlee stays overseas and unheard? Then the alleged recordings entered the conversation. No full audio has surfaced, and according to insiders, that's intentional. But descriptions alone have sent shockwaves. One source claims there's a phone call where Ashlee is told she's misremembering her own experience. That framing hit fans hard because it suggests the silence wasn't about healing, it was about containment. About keeping the family's public story clean, even if the private cost was unbearable. Social media exploded with speculation. Twitter threads broke down timelines. TikTok creators stitched together clips showing how often Tamar and Ashlee stopped themselves mid-sentence. Comment sections filled with the same question: what were they afraid to say? And then Ashlee did something that reportedly broke the unspoken rule. She stopped softening her language. Her recent statements, though still careful, carried a new firmness. She spoke about being tired of protecting narratives that didn't protect her. She spoke about therapy, distance, and the weight of being told that her truth was too dangerous to share. Fans noticed that she never said Evelyn's name, but she didn't have to. The implication was heavy enough to land without it. That's when Tamar reportedly reached out privately. According to insiders, this wasn't a dramatic reunion. It was quiet, emotional. Two women finally acknowledging that they'd been carrying the same burden from opposite sides. That exchange allegedly marked the beginning of the end, because once Tamar stopped defending the silence, everything shifted. She didn't go live, she didn't rant, she simply stopped playing her assigned role, she stopped apologizing for being emotional, she stopped cushioning her words for the sake of peace that never included her. And Evelyn noticed. Insiders claim there was a tense confrontation, not public, not recorded, but explosive. Voices raised, old sacrifices thrown back into the light. Tamar allegedly questioned why protecting the family always meant sacrificing the same people. Evelyn allegedly responded with a warning so stark it stunned everyone present. That reminder didn't land the way it was supposed to, because instead of backing down, Tamar went silent, the dangerous kind. The kind that signals someone is done negotiating. Fans clocked it immediately. No defensive posts, no vague explanations, just distance. And in celebrity families, distance is louder than accusations. As this tension simmered, social media kept digging. A viral thread claimed Evelyn had intervened in multiple moments over the years to manage narratives before they got out of hand. None of this has been confirmed, but the consistency of the stories is what has fans shaken. And then came the moment that turned whispers into wildfire. A close associate, allegedly frustrated by years of watching this play out, dropped a single line under a viral post. They weren't silent because they wanted to be. That comment vanished within minutes, but screenshots don't. Now the question isn't whether something was hidden, it's how much. Because if Evelyn truly positioned herself as the gatekeeper of truth, then every calm interview, every "we're healing" statement, every carefully worded response has to be reconsidered. Fans aren't just rewatching old footage, they're reinterpreting it. And the most unsettling realization is this: Ashlee and Tamar may not have been protecting the family from scandal. They may have been protecting everyone else from accountability. As pressure builds and silence loses its power, insiders warn that this story is nowhere near finished. Because if what's already being hinted at is only the surface, then the next layer isn't just uncomfortable, it's explosive. And according to those closest to the situation, Evelyn knows exactly what happens if the silence fully breaks, which is why the next move won't come quietly. The tension didn't explode all at once. It seeped into everything. According to alleged insiders, after that private confrontation, the atmosphere around the family shifted from controlled to combustible. Calls stopped being returned. Group chats went quiet. People began choosing sides without ever announcing it. And the most unsettling part? Everyone seemed to know exactly why, even though no one was saying it out loud. Sources claim Evelyn moved first, not publicly, strategically. Allegedly, she began reaching out to mutual contacts, quietly framing the narrative before it could spin out of her control. The word concern came up a lot. Concern for Ashlee's mental health, concern for Tamar's emotional stability, concern that old wounds were being reopened irresponsibly. Fans didn't hear this directly, but they felt it. because suddenly, anonymous blog posts appeared questioning Ashlee's credibility. Suddenly, Tamar's past meltdowns were being reposted with captions that screamed instability instead of context. It felt coordinated. Not to deny anything, but to discredit the messengers before they ever finished the message. And if that's true, it explains why the tone online shifted so sharply overnight. People weren't debating the claims anymore. They were debating whether Ashlee and Tamar should even be trusted to speak. That's when the leaked material escalated. According to multiple sources, private messages began circulating in closed fan forums. Nothing definitive, nothing legally actionable, but enough to make people uncomfortable. That line froze people, because it suggested the silence wasn't temporary, it was generational. Tamar reportedly saw the screenshots too, and according to insiders, that's when her tone shifted internally from frustration to resolve. She wasn't emotional anymore, she was precise. Friends say she stopped venting and started asking questions. Who said what? When? And why those same patterns kept repeating whenever someone got close to the truth. Meanwhile, Ashlee was unraveling in a different way. Sources claim she felt the familiar pull to retreat, to disappear the way she always had when pressure mounted. But this time, something was different. Tamar was backing her. Not loudly, not performatively, privately, consistently. That sentence reportedly kept Ashlee grounded when the backlash hit hardest, and it hit hard. Commenters accused her of chasing attention. Some even questioned why she waited so long. The cruelty was relentless, and eerily aligned with the same talking points insiders claim Evelyn had been circulating quietly. That overlap did not go unnoticed. Then the alleged recordings were referenced again, this time by someone closer to the inner circle. A well-known industry blogger hinted that they'd been offered audio proving there were explicit instructions to stay silent. They didn't post it. That post alone triggered thousands of replies. Fans demanded transparency. Others warned of legal retaliation. Legal threats soon became part of the conversation. According to whispers, cease and desist letters were discussed, not necessarily sent, but floated as a possibility. The idea wasn't to sue, it was to scare, to remind everyone involved that speaking comes with consequences. Tamar, having lived under that shadow before, allegedly made a decision that shocked those around her. She stopped caring, not recklessly, deliberately. That mindset terrified the people who relied on her fear to keep things quiet. Because Tamar without fear is unpredictable, and unpredictable people don't stay in line. Social media sensed it before she said anything. Fans noticed Tamar liking comments that hinted at control, subtle ones. She never confirmed anything, but she didn't deny it either. That ambiguity drove speculation into overdrive. TikTok creators stitched her likes with Ashlee's interviews. The pattern became undeniable. Evelyn, according to alleged insiders, did not appreciate this shift. Sources claim another confrontation occurred, this one colder, more controlled. Not shouting, not tears, just ultimatums. Tamar was allegedly told that continuing down this path would permanently fracture the family, that certain doors would close forever, and that whatever support she thought she had would disappear. Her response? Silence, but not submission. Behind the scenes, Tamar allegedly began documenting everything, not for exposure, for protection, dates, conversations, who said what. That sentence hit fans hard when it leaked, because it reframed years of narrative damage in one breath. Ashlee, emboldened by Tamar's stance, took another step forward. She posted a statement that didn't accuse anyone directly, but it named the experience. She spoke about being told when and how to speak, about having her trauma edited for palatability, about realizing that peace built on silence isn't peace at all. The post went viral within hours, and then something unexpected happened. Other voices started chiming in, not with details, with recognition. Industry figures, reality TV alumni, people who'd been around powerful families long enough to know the playbook. The story grew beyond the Braxtons. It became a conversation about power. That terrified the gatekeepers, because once a story becomes bigger than the people involved, it can't be shut down quietly. Evelyn's alleged role as the enforcer of silence was now being dissected publicly, not through accusation, but through pattern recognition. And patterns are harder to deny than rumors. Insiders claim Evelyn tried one last move, reconciliation. On the surface, it sounded reasonable, but according to those familiar with the dynamics, it was the same approach that had kept everyone quiet for years. Address the emotion, avoid the accountability. This time, it didn't work. Tamar reportedly declined. Ashlee didn't respond at all. That refusal sent a clear message. The era of quiet compliance was over. And if the truth was going to come out, it would do so on their terms. Not filtered, not softened, not buried under concern. The internet held its breath after that, because everyone knew what comes next when control fails. Escalation, exposure, or retaliation. And with so many eyes now watching, insiders warn that the next phase won't be subtle, it will be definitive. And according to whispers growing louder by the day, there's one final piece of this story that hasn't surfaced yet. Something that explains exactly why the silence mattered so much in the first place. Whatever it is, those closest to the situation say it's the reason Evelyn fought so hard to keep everything contained. And if that's true, then the moment it surfaces won't just change the narrative, it will shatter it. By the time the third wave hit, there was no confusion left about what was happening. This was no longer a misunderstanding, it was a power struggle. And according to insiders, the reason the silence mattered so much was finally starting to surface. Sources close to the situation claim there was one moment years ago that changed everything. A moment so volatile that it forced the entire family into survival mode. Not because the truth was unclear, but because it was too clear. According to whispered accounts, something was said behind closed doors that made it obvious certain narratives could never coexist with the public image being sold. And from that point forward, silence wasn't optional. It was mandatory. Allegedly, this was the moment Evelyn stepped fully into her role. Not as a villain, not as a mastermind, but as the enforcer of a decision already made. Insiders claim the message was simple: protect the family brand at all costs. Anything that threatened it would be reframed, minimized, or buried. And the people most affected by that decision were the ones least protected by it. Ashlee was young when she learned the rules. Speak carefully, don't contradict, don't say too much. And most importantly, don't disrupt the hierarchy. According to people who witnessed it, she learned early that honesty came with consequences: distance, coldness, erasure. That's when she allegedly began to disappear emotionally, long before she ever left physically. Tamar, on the other hand, resisted. Sources say she pushed back, questioned the logic, asked why silence was being prioritized over healing. But each time she did, the response was the same. You're too emotional, you're making it worse, you're hurting the family. Over time, that pushback was reframed as instability. Her reactions became the story instead of the cause. That's the part fans are only now beginning to understand. According to alleged documentation referenced by insiders, there were conversations where Tamar was warned that continuing to challenge the narrative would isolate her permanently, that she would be blamed for fractures that already existed. She didn't. She just learned when to go quiet, until now. The reason this moment feels different, insiders say, is because the final piece, the real reason silence was enforced, has started circulating privately. No screenshots posted, no audio leaked publicly, just confirmations from multiple unrelated sources saying the same thing. If this comes out, it won't just damage relationships. It will rewrite the entire family history. That's why the reaction has been so intense. According to whispers, the information explains why certain people were protected while others were sacrificed. Why accountability was selective. Why some pain was acknowledged publicly while other pain was quietly dismissed. It explains why Ashlee's voice was considered dangerous, and why Tamar's emotions had to be discredited instead of addressed. Social media can feel it. Fans aren't speculating wildly anymore, they're connecting dots. Old reunion moments, awkward silences, sudden subject changes, the way certain names were never mentioned, the way some stories were cut short, the way Tamar was always asked to apologize but never fully heard. Creators are posting side-by-side timelines showing when Ashlee went silent and when major family milestones occurred. Others are pointing out how often Tamar's attempts at honesty were followed by public corrections or clarifications from people speaking on her behalf. The pattern is impossible to unsee once you recognize it. And Evelyn's silence now? Deafening. According to insiders, she has not addressed the claims directly because she can't without opening the door she spent years keeping shut. Any denial would invite questions. Any explanation would require context. And context is exactly what no one wants examined too closely. Instead, the strategy has allegedly shifted to waiting it out. Let the internet move on, let attention fade, let the story burn itself out. That approach has worked before. But sources say this time is different because the people at the center of the story aren't backing down. They're standing still. Ashlee has reportedly been advised to stay calm, stay factual, and stay grounded. Tamar, according to those close to her, is prepared for whatever comes next. Not because she wants chaos, but because she's no longer willing to carry the consequences of someone else's decisions. That sentence alone ignited another wave of reaction online. Because once that truth lands, there's no clean way to spin it. Silence stops looking like unity, protection starts looking like control, and the people who were painted as difficult start looking like the only ones brave enough to resist. No official statements have been released, no confirmations made, but fans don't need them anymore. The energy has shifted, the narrative has cracked, and the question is no longer whether silence was enforced, it's why. And according to the same insiders who warned this was coming, the answer to that question is the one thing no one is ready to face yet. Because once that final truth surfaces, it won't just expose the silence, it will explain it. If you're still here, then you already feel it, that uneasy pull in your gut telling you this story isn't done with you yet. This is one of those moments where walking away means letting the truth get blurred, softened, and rewritten by people who were counting on your attention span to run out. And that's exactly why you can't disengage now. Because stories like this don't disappear, they get buried. And only the people who stay locked in get to see what rises back up. Hit like if you've ever watched someone be labeled difficult simply for refusing to stay silent. Comment if you're starting to question the narratives you were handed for years without explanation. And subscribe. Not casually, not later, but right now. Because when the next piece surfaces, it won't come with a warning. It'll drop fast, it'll be messy, and everyone will pretend they didn't see it coming. This isn't just about celebrity drama anymore. It's about who gets protected, who gets blamed, and who finally gets heard when the silence breaks. More reactions are coming, more people are watching, and more truths are circling closer to the surface than anyone expected. Be here, be early, be part of the conversation before it explodes all over your timeline. Engage now, because once this story finishes unfolding, there will be no unseeing it.